Just on here.
I have to, okay. You're the fail safe in case we're, got it.
And Andrews.
Andrew's on?
Yep.
Ready? Calling to order the meeting of the Millburn Short Hills Business Organization Incorporated. It is now 6:32, Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Jumana, do you want to read the sunshine compliance statement? That's okay.
Here you go. Notice of the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting to the extent known was provided at, thank you, was provided at least 48 hours prior to commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 10:46. Do we have to read that?
No.
Notice was posted in Town Hall and the Township's website by notification to the newspapers on December 22nd, 2021 of the schedule of the for 2022 and by providing notice to the Township Clerk.
Thank you. We stand for the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can call the roll, please.
So I just like, I don't have the list, but that's okay. Does it have to go in any order? Doesn't matter. Okay, Ashley.
Actually, here, Schultz.
Schultz, thank you. Sorry.
Here.
Okay.
This is everybody.
Is it everybody? Okay, great. Ashley Schultz,
Yes, here.
Andrew Morgan,
Here.
Ken Weiner,
Here.
Jemana Culligan here, Tracy Levine, no, Michael Parlavecchio.
Here.
Richard Wasserman,
Here.
Jackie Milburn,
Here.
Jesse Mullen,
Here.
Steve Grillo,
Here.
and Amanda Deeb. Here.
Thanks, Jemima.
Roll call.
Okay, all right, good.
Purpose of a special improvement district is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Millburn Township SID ordinance designates a new district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Millburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development and engagement. Okay, we have approval of the minutes. We have attached as attachment 1 to our packet, the minutes from the February 9th, 2022 meeting. Am I missing something? Gotta
You
jump ahead.
were not present, so you're not voting. I think
Oh, right.
everybody else was present.
Yep. Okay, so if everybody's had, Ashley.
And Ashley was not.
Yeah, it's a roll call vote,
Oh, it is?
but if you were not present, you're not voting, is what you said.
If nobody has any comments or additions or changes to this, we can take a motion to approve these minutes of February 9th, 2022.
Motion.
In a second.
Second.
Jemima, can you call the roll?
Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Stephen Weiner,
Yes.
Jemana Culligan, yes. Michael Parlavecchio.
Not
No,
voting.
not, yeah. Richard Wasserman,
Yes.
and Jackie doesn't vote, correct?
Correct.
And Ashley.
Oh, sorry.
He wasn't.
And he wasn't
just
here.
call him.
I have to call, okay, Ashley Schultz.
Not
Abstain.
Not voting.
All right. Public comments.
I know.
Public comments when invited to speak. If you are here, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or a committee member reads from a prepared statement, please provide a copy to tracy@explore@millburnshorthills.org. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. I will give you a warning sign when we're getting close. Those who wish to participate in meetings may do so in person and electronically. I think we have people via Zoom today. Individuals calling in will be able to fully participate in the meeting during this session. So we can start with who's in the room. please. Vicki, hi.
Hi, Vicky
Hi.
Powell, 358 C Milburn Avenue. Really quick. I didn't get a chance to ask Steve, but I know we're closing Main Street, but in that closing, when they asked the township for permission, are sidewalk sales coming back Friday, Saturday, and Sundays in May through August? I wanted to check to make sure we have that included. Also, I know we have Amanda who's now doing our social media. Love Garden State Hemp's new videos with where the parking is and where to get to places in town. Think that's something that we really should capitalize and go district-wise and saying where parking is so people know where they are in each 5 districts. I think that's a very good idea. And there was one other thing and I can't remember what it was. Oh, the mural by Haagen-Dazs. I know we had it painted. There's still some spots that were missed. I think he needs to go back and take a look at some of them, and are we varnishing it to keep it in good condition? That's it. Everyone's doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Vicki, I just have a question. When did those sidewalk sales start? Do you remember? What? No, but was it May before Mother's Day or May?
Was that the first weekend maybe?
I think.
No, I thought it was.
Just make sure your mic's on. Jamal.
Sorry, I was thinking, wasn't it, we had that like Fame Festival or something?
Yeah,
I
That
feel
was
like
May
that
8th. That was
started,
Mother's
yeah,
Day.
some
That was
other-
the Saturday before Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think it's a ordinance that's been
Yes.
passed, and I believe the ordinance is triggered in June, July, and August.
For sidewalks?
For sidewalk sales. Jess,
We definitely did,
Well,
but
maybe
it might
that
have
was
been because of
COVID.
COVID.
yeah,
Yeah,
we can go and check the ordinance and just,
we'll have to.
and we'll let you guys know.
But if it's not, can we get special permission if they're opening the streets for the closing Main Street on the weekends? Why can't we put stuff out on the streets?
I think it's probably a question for TC.
Township
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll look into it. I know, I think for COVID, there was a spot, there was, I don't know, something,
Dispensation.
yeah, there was, maybe the rules were a little more relaxed. But I'll check on it. I'll get back to
I think procedurally, the dates are set via ordinance.
you. Right.
And so the TC could act and change the ordinance and expand it. That's my point.
Well, if
Did
there's,
the ordinance change or was there no sidewalk sales? It was just a certain time frame. There was a time that we weren't allowed to put anything on the streets.
Yeah.
So they made special permission in the summertime. Alex went with, the township committee and all that stuff. So then last year we made it, starting that May was on the weekends because people want to put things out on the weekend when the weather is nice. So I know I think it's a law in the books that we're not supposed to have sidewalk sales because during the year you can, if there's stuff on the streets, they send Dave Como and say, you got to get it off the street. You're not allowed to do it. But this was a special, ordinance that you guys did at certain times that is allowed on the weekends. So I'm asking you if you can, when you're
We'll have to
doing
get that
the street on
information.
Main
Yeah.
Street,
Yeah.
the other part of the town would like to have some sidewalk sale
okay, and are there?
or sidewalk, displays,
I feel
anything.
like there are a lot of merchants that are
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
People like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings people into town when they see stuff out. It doesn't have to be sales. It could be, this is what I'm showcasing today.
Right.
Or I can have a little person, whatever. It's just something to bring people to
Right.
walk into town
If-
and
if
not
there-
only
if-
go to Main Street.
If there's an issue with the ordinance, I will commit that, I'll move expeditiously to try to
Thank you.
fix
Well,
it.
we also have another meeting in April, way
Yeah.
before May.
Yeah,
so-
I know,
so
right? I
that's-
just want to know it has to
appreciate
go
it.
in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the way you guys.
It's an
We'll look
ordinance,
into
it takes time.
We'll look
Exactly.
into it right away.
Thank,
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Sorry, you're old. Okay. Can we see who's online?
Good evening, Jean Pasternak, 342 Hobart Avenue. These are questions from Mr. Feld. When and from what property owners did the SID board receive written and oral consent from property owners located outside the downtown district for the proposed agenda action item use of assessment monies? When and from whom did the SID board receive a valid, validity, or no merits written legal opinion? What weight should a prudent fiduciary of public trust accord to this written validity or no merits written legal opinion from our current municipal attorneys? Was an amended complaint challenging the validity of this expanded appointed 5-district SID filed within the 20 days estoppel period? In the event that the plaintiffs prevail on the Bear Properties hybrid prerogative writ act violations, from whom can the community recover all prior illegal and improper monies expenditures? Are breach of fiduciary claims and obligations non-dischargeable under the U.S. Bankruptcy Code? How and from whom were 2021 and Hurricane Ida Relief Fund audit proposals solicited? Who will repair the SID's 2020 audit? Why is this independent board fiduciaries of a public trust retaining an accounting firm that failed to discover the no change order overpayments to the municipal attorney for many years? Will the 2020 and 2021 auditor investigate whether all payments to outside consultants and professionals were made pursuant to executed retention contracts? Will the auditor address whether monies were properly appropriated and budgeted? Will the auditor address whether monies were used for line item purposes never authorized or approved by the local governing body? Of the proposed March 10th, 2022 agenda action item expenditures, how much money is allocated among the 5 different districts? Would it be prudent to disclose in the agenda action items the district location of the project and the amount of monies allocated to the different districts? Would it be prudent to disclose each month the amounts of monies or income received during the prior reporting period? In addition to the year-to-date number, would it be prudent to disclose each month the amount of expenditures paid during this month? How does one explain and reconcile the differences between the actual sources of funds and the actual amounts of expenditures? Should that difference equal the opening account balances? Why would a suburban community require the assistance of an entity named Urban Solutions Group? Why does the SID executive director refuse to disclose the identity of the roundtable realtors and large property owners described by him during the last February 22 SID meeting? Are the monies appropriated and received by the SID for the executive director encumbered and reserved and not used for any other line item purpose? From whom and when did the SID board receive a written legal opinion regarding the carry forward use of unexpected prior year's money, such as those unused funds flowing into unencumbered surplus account, or unused funds must be used to reduce the amount of next year's SID appropriation?
Ms. Pasternak, you're just running to the end of your time.
I have just a few more. I know you gave.
If you could submit them in writing, would be great.
When and how was the SID appropriation one lump sum method of payment disclosed and explained to all property owners? From whom and when did the SID board receive a written legal opinion as to under the authority of October 1st assessment status can be modified after the as of October 1st assessment date? In 2022, how many properties assessments were changed after the
I'm
fact?
going to ask you to wrap up, Ms. Pasternak.
I have 3 more. That's it.
No. I'm just asking you to wrap up, please.
Yes, I am wrapping up. Did Mayor Miggins
Last
have
one.
a disqualifying conflict of interest or appearance of impropriety regarding the SID's budget and assessment, and because of the quid pro quo shout out the next day after the approval of the budget of her business and her personal photograph on the Explore Instagram page? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we have those in writing?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
Vincent Urso, 514 Milburn Avenue, Short Hills. I yield my time to Perry, my wife.
Good evening.
Hi, I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah, there's a little echo, but we can hear you.
Great, thank you. So you got my husband's comment.
Now we can't hear you. Are you there? Ms. Urso?
I'm here.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead. You can, or someone has to hang up or mute a phone. There's a feedback, so it's hard to hear you. I think we've lost you. All right, maybe you could try to call back. We'll go through the rest of the list. Okay, sorry about that. Someone else? Anyone else, Jesse?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fabulous. So we know that my husband's yielded his time to me. So members of
I
the
don't know what
public,
that, I just want to be clear. I don't really know what that means, but you have 3 minutes to speak.
I'm taking my husband's time as well. That's what that means.
No, that's
Members
not
of
how
the
this
public-
works. You get 3 minutes, so go ahead. You got it. You have got your 3.
The arrogance continues. Members of the public were kept until after 11:30 in the evening on February 15th TC meeting, where Mayor did not recuse herself from voting on the 2020 SID budget and assessment roll, opined that she had posed no conflict of appearance of impropriety, but the next day Explore showcases her business with a photo on social media. No conflict, just as Ms. Prupis had no conflict. The TC in this body doesn't think so. But you don't have a legal opinion on that from any attorney, such as Mr. Brewer. Why? It is appalling that our questions go unanswered. Why do you only select a few property owners and realtors get invitations to Mr. Grillo's roundtables? Why are you hiding behind a lawsuit? In my opinion, I understand that all trustees and committee members can possibly be personally liable for the use of any Explore funds that are subject to a lawsuit within the estoppel period. Have you been properly informed by that? You'll all continue to be creatures of habit. History repeats itself. You go into enclosed executive sessions and come out voting anonymously, once again approving another contract for a marketing director without public comment. What oversight has been done by this body, and especially by Jackie Lieberberg and Committeeman Wasserman? You have allowed this executive director to publicly disrespect a property owner who's been in business for over 100 years with no regard, and having the ability to intimidate anyone in opposition with no additional response from the public. You allowed this executive director to carelessly spend monies without oversight. One example, paying for characters at $4.50 a pop. Wouldn't it be mindful to solicit a volunteer and purchase a costume at the fraction of a price, which could be saved for another time? Doesn't that sound like business-minded to you? Who authorized the executive director to expense his travel and meals? Isn't the executive director an independent contractor providing this board with a 1099? Why is this executive director allowed to have events at different locations paid with assessments to businesses that are highlighted? Shouldn't these expenses be donated by the merchants? You've allowed this executive director to present proposals without any additional public knowledge of competing RFPs. Why you're allowing this executive director to include an area for beautification whom has been exempt from the assessment and undergoing construction? Why are assessments being used towards building improvements to particular properties such as murals and lighting?
Mrs. Urso, can
Why
I
is
just
this
ask you to wrap up in the next few
executive
seconds?
Why is this executive director allowed to negotiate assessments due date of April 1st to be paid in one lump sum without proper procedures and approvals by the TC by way of resolution or ordinance? Why were there properties excluded from their assessments with certain considerations and others were not? Jackie Lieberberg, you lied to the property owners that the assessments were 204 and not
Mr. Urso, I'm
270.
going to ask you to wrap up, please.
The rate is
Thank you.
0.0071, not 0.00. You've allowed this executive director.
Thank you, Mrs. Urso. Thank you.
Purpose of this expenses.
Anyone else on there? Okay, let us continue on. Township Committee Report, Mr. Wasserman.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm very excited that, like last year, let me make sure this, everybody hear me? All right. I'm very excited that like last year, May 6th through June 24th, that our Main Street will be closed on the weekends. I think, and being one that has been enjoying the closed Main Streets, it has been a major success. It's been a place for community, for residents. And with the assistance of Explore Milburn, we've supplied live music. We've supplied a lot of, we've showcased some other cultural events, and it's been a tremendous success. And again, I don't think we should understate the point that we want our residents to stay local, dine local, enjoy local, and stay in the township and spend their time and their money with our merchants and enjoy themselves in the township. And this goes a long way to that goal. So I just want to thank Steve for supplying, for working out, all of the good entertainment, Steve, do you want to speak about what the residents have to look forward to for this coming closure?
Sure. Thank you, committee member. Just for a point of clarification, the resolution that was passed by the township committee is from May 6th to June 24th.
Yes.
That is for weekends only. So that's Fridays at 4 p.m. after bus traffic from the school has concluded through Sunday evening, and then the Department of Public Works will remove them the barricades either Sunday evening or early Monday morning. We will then come back to the township committee to ask for a resolution for the full closure, as we did throughout the summer and as Ms. Powell referenced earlier. So that'll be a separate action taken by the TC. In between that, Amanda Dean, our new marketing director, is working diligently to hire bands. And right now we've got more bands than we have days in the year, it feels like. So every Friday and Saturday, holidays excluded, we have a couple of holidays where we're not going to be featuring bands, or only on a Friday, it's not on a Saturday. But we're trying to do some predictable scheduling. So it will be 6 to 9 on Friday night and 6 to 9 on Saturday night. And then from 11 to 1 on Sundays, there will be a musician at a different location each week. So not just in the downtown, but in all 5 of our districts. And so that'll be rotating sort of as a brunch music type thing. We did it last year in the fall. It'll be acoustic or just a solo artist. And that'll be something nice that we can announce and feature a new business every week. And then hopefully when the area is closed, I'll get into some of the activities we're going to be offering. And Amanda's going to be talking about our Open Streets program that we're going to be launching this year.
And Steve, can I just follow up with one question?
Yeah.
If we have local musicians or artists that want to join the fund, do we have anywhere on our webpage where people could throw their hat in?
Yeah, so they can just contact Amanda, marketing at exploremilburnshorthills.org.
Great, because a couple of people are still approaching me, and it's great. They're all local artists.
Yep, and then we also have an info email address on our website as well. So there's 2 options, whether it goes to the info inbox or the marketing inbox. And then we've got quite a robust spreadsheet of bands.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next up, Business Administrator's Report, Mr. Molman. You're up.
On March 29th at 7 p.m. in this room, we'll be hosting the first public information session with MKW and Associates, which is the landscape architect that's working with the township to put forward design proposals for the Gateway project in Taylor Park. This is the first info session they will be hosting, where they're going to be gathering feedback from the public about what their thoughts are on the site, and they will be guiding that discussion. They're going to be hosting a second session a couple months later, once there are concepts to share with people. And so this is people's first opportunity to speak with the landscape architect and offer their thoughts. This week we began a 60-day.
What time is that meeting?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
On
March
March
29th.
March 29th in this room and on Zoom.
Can I just a kind of threshold question? Is there I understand they're putting together a concept plan. Is there an overarching concept or goal for what they're going to be asked to do? What is it we're trying to achieve with Gateway project?
What we're trying to achieve is to open up that space in the park and make it more of a grand entrance to the park. And but other than that, we haven't put too many barriers to them. So the RFP references a couple elements that are already there, like the rose garden, like the elm tree, things like that. They should respect and preserve to the best extent possible. But beyond that, it's more of, we recognize this is a space that could be utilized more. And
we're talking about the space on Milburn Avenue.
So basically from Milburn Ave, where the rose garden is, through to the backstop. So there's some empty field space, kind of.
Are these, this landscape architect has been hired already, or this is his?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been hired. They've been working with the Gateway Subcommittee for the last couple of weeks now, and and they've done some preliminary work as well. So they've come out to the site. They're using a subcontractor to prepare a survey and do a site analysis. And then before they really start working on the design aspect, they're gonna be listening from the residents and members of the public.
And what extent does Explore have actually any, I mean, we don't really have much to do with this, do we?
So,
We have input into the project. is what I'm
right,
getting at.
so Executive Director Grillo is on the subcommittee, so
Oh, yeah.
he is bringing the SIT's focus into the group. And I would urge any business owners that have an interest in that site and coming to that session, either in person or virtually. Because it is really and not just the SID, but Paper Mill has representation on the subcommittee, as does the Shortlands Garden Club, the Environmental Commission, the Rec Commission. There are a lot of stakeholders that have already played a role in the process up to this point, but now it's just opening up to the public at large.
Just a quick question, also curious, are the rec fields are still gonna be, like, they're still gonna keep the softball fields there and all that stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that would be it. That would
Yeah,
be a
I'm
problem.
just curious, just, that space is so important in this
Yeah,
town.
and the gateway doesn't breach, Jesse, it doesn't breach where the fields are.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
it's only
into
the,
where field
it's only from the front to past, past the rose gardens to the edge, I think, to the edge of the field.
I see.
Yeah.
And then this week, the township started a 1-hour parking pilot program on Milburn Ave from the driveway to Lot 4 to Main Street. The hourly restriction has been dropped from 2 hours to 1 hour for a 60-day period. And then we'll reevaluate and see whether it's worth continuing with the 1 hour or moving it back.
I'm just curious,
And that's
how are
gonna-
we counting the number of cars that are in and out in those spaces? How are we evaluating the success of the 1 hour?
It's gonna be a mix of anecdotal evidence and what the experience has been, mix of, what we hear from shoppers, what we hear from business owners, what we hear from our parking violations officers. If we don't hear too many complaints, we'll kind of treat that as success. If we do hear some feedback, either positive or negative, we'll take that into account. This did come out of the parking study that was commissioned by the SID last year.
Is there any sort of drawback, like, or not drawback, but positive to having 2-hour parking on a busy street like Milburn now? Like, what?
So 2-hour parking, our consultant that looked at the curb efficiency study. Remember, we're talking about curb efficiency, right? And that's the key component of this. 2-hour parking would be probably okay if we didn't have so many municipal lots adjacent to that 2-hour parking that offer 3-hour parking. And so there's an important need to get those on-street spaces turned over quickly, especially because there's an option to park for 3 hours mere feet away. And so that's the thinking here. If those municipal lots didn't exist, we'd probably have a very different approach to this. But as Jesse said, we're going to work with the merchants, and I just sent an email to everybody today on that affected corridor, asking them to provide me feedback and let's hear what customers are saying. And is the message getting through? Is the signage working? Because I think the concept is sound, but like anything else, it's the execution. And so we just need to make sure that we're getting the message out and people understand there is a secondary option of those municipal lots.
And isn't the whole idea to encourage turnover and to and access and easy access and for those that are picking up, dropping off, doing that kind of, as we've all seen. There has been some cases, I know during my tenure as a township, on the township committee, there were several businesses that were violating the goodwill of the parking restrictions. So it's my hope and aspiration that this will alleviate some of those individuals that are not following the rule of law with respect to parking permits.
And just so that everyone understands the process that occurred, right? So you guys authorized us to perform the study. We presented it. Some aspects have already been developed. We put additional parking spaces and striping on Town Hall Plaza and Essex Street with the town. Richard's working on a signage program that came out of the study for the parking deck, which will happen this summer. And then this went to the parking ad hoc committee. which is made up of various members of town government. They embraced this, said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's put together a pilot. And so it was a very well integrated system that came from your original authorization to proceed with this. So thank you for that vision on it.
I mean, I guess that's why I was asking about if we're counting cars, because really the key purpose is to keep people moving in and out. And to me, the definition of success would be able to say, hey, there were X number of cars at the 2 hour mark, and then now look at, there's an increased number of cars at the 1 hour. You know, it's probably difficult to actually count like that, but to me, that'd be the objective sort of criteria for success.
Once we transitioned over to pay stations, we can track transactions. So I will talk to the traffic sergeant and see if we can get those reports. Of course, a couple months before this began. And
to me, that'd be great data to really see the impact.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is that some of this is tough because a lot of it ultimately comes down to enforcement. I know that all of us know that even though there's a 2 hour limit, I see there's plenty of people who park on the streets and just continually feed the meter throughout the day. So I know it's not the traffic police's favorite thing to do, but policing that sort of thing, like, I don't know if we're able to, I don't know, like tweak them and maybe have them chalk tires or however they check this stuff, because ultimately if it's not enforced, it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour, 2 hours, or 10 hours.
Maybe there's a way, and you're 100% right, Andrew, maybe there's a way to go with a warning system through I'm just suggesting that. I don't know if that's possible, that if, you are in violation and if you exceed this, you will get a ticket. So I don't know if there's something we can put on their car window and say, you have now exceeded your limit. I don't know. That's.
Yeah, generally they act by just writing the ticket.
Okay. Okay.
They get right to it.
But,
Get right to it.
but when you feed the meter over and over again, you're not in
Not in
violation
violation.
technically, right? I don't know.
So the app and the pay station, they will only let you feed the meter up until the point that you're you can add more time in that zone. So for example, in lot 5, which has a 3 hour restriction, you can't feed the meter beyond the 3 hours. Now you could move your car and start it a little bit later, and there's always ways to game the system that way, but that's just the balance between the PBOs and the motorists. And you're not gonna be able to catch everyone, but at least if you incentivize enough people to do the right thing, you've created the behavior for what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and there's no way to really, if people are feeding coins though, like there's no way to really police that.
Yeah, if they're not using the pay station.
But details.
One more thing, sorry. So if the purpose is, they're just feet away a municipal ramp and other municipal parking lots, are there actually, and I don't know, people who have handicap stickers, are there spots on the streets as well? So because to me, if they want to go have lunch in a restaurant on Milburn Avenue, 2 hours would be easier than the 1 hour push, and let them park closer to the actual restaurant instead of pushing them to a municipal lot. I don't know if that's been considered, but if we decide that 1 hour is the permanent solution, I would like to think about whether there should be maybe one or some additional people, handicap spots that are allowed to stay longer. I don't know if
They're exempt.
Oh, they're
Handicap.
exempt. Okay, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. So they can, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Never mind.
And would you just
You
review
solved the
where
problem.
this pilot is, the yard, where?
Don't say lot 4, no one knows what that is.
Yeah.
Milburn Avenue from Haagen-Dazs.
Right?
Now people, okay.
Yeah.
The
To
mural
Main
that
Street.
Vicky wants taken care of?
Yeah.
That one?
Yes, exactly.
So it's just that.
And to where?
To Main Street on Millburn Avenue.
Oh, so
Just one block.
this,
One block.
just one block,
Oh,
one
I
short
thought-
block. So from Main Street to Lackawanna is not in this pilot.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
On both sides?
Both sides.
But not the handicap spot.
Is
for hard-hearted
the
people
idea
like
that
Steve.
to move to the rest of Milburn Ave to 1 hour if this is successful, or it's just that one block because it's busier than?
And it's
Because I mean-
congested and
Yeah, so-
and the streets are narrow and
Yeah.
for
The
a
main
whole host of
challenge
reasons.
is that there are really limited municipal parking options past Main Street. Right, so you have the parking deck on Essex, but that's really it. So here down, right near Town Hall is where you have the massive amount of parking spaces off street.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to try to get people to use them.
Mhm.
So I don't think we would consider the 1 hour past Main Street. There's other options, as you get towards some of the delis and, like by Goldberg's and Milburn Deli, maybe we could look at 15-minute parking for Uber drivers and DoorDash. And those are all, I think, next steps. Let's see how this works out, because there's also, to your point, the enforcement issue, but also the cooperation issue. And do people understand what the rules are? Do they understand what the signage is saying? Because we may need to tweak that as well if the message isn't clear.
I think like most townships at this point have some kind of 15-minute part. I think people are used to this concept. I mean, it's all over Summit. It's in, I think Maplewood too, and it does make life a lot easier when you're getting food to go, but
Sure.
yeah.
Mr. Weiner, Treasurer's
Yes.
Report.
Okay, thank you. As there's a copy in the materials that were posted on the online. As of March 2, our account balance at the bank was $43,648. The year-to-date spending is $42,941.95. The remaining amount of our budget is $236,583.05. I'd like to highlight, though, the very good news here, and I think Steve may explain it further in his report, but there's a new line item under the income called sponsorships. And we have $5,500 that is gratefully, it's terrific that Ganella Real Estate Team has given us a $5,500 grant or sponsorship. And you'll see they're reflected in two line items. One is to supplement $2,500 for our budget for the live music and seasonal events. And another $3,000 was added to our budget as a result of this, the sponsorship for, I guess it's streetscape projects, signage and banners. So that's terrific news. And I think that's going to be, it's a good harbinger of things to come, as Steve will explain in terms of additional sponsorships.
I'll do it right now since we're talking about the budget.
Perfect.
Just before this meeting, I was notified that we're going to receive an additional $12,000 in sponsorship from Envoy, which is the Wonder brand of delivery. And they're working with a number of restaurants in town. So we're very excited for their partnership. $12,000, $2,000 allocated to storefront beautification for restaurants exclusively is what they've asked. And then the remaining 10 will go to the music program, which will enable us to make some purchases that I'll discuss later on. But today was a fairly successful day. We made over $17,000 in sponsorship.
Yeah, that's great. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, committee report. Well, I get to start this off, and I feel like we're working backwards because Amanda's been around and working and doing things. So this is like, we've already set her free on the world and on the town. But let me do my official duty. The official introduction of Amanda Dean, Marketing and Events Manager. She's already waist deep in all things Explore Milburn Short Hills. Everybody's had a chance to work with her, meet with her, has seen her work. So I just give you the official welcome, and maybe you can give us the official welcome to yourself, an introduction.
Well, thank you so much. Yes,
You're welcome.
I'm just finishing my 4th week here, and
Time
just-
flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it does. I jumped right in. I took over from Marla, and so I bring to you, my background is in marketing, event planning, fundraising. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Visitor experience. So I'm really excited to be here and working in this community. There's so much that's already happened and so much that we're going to do. So as I said, I jumped in. I've been working a lot on social media content. We're designing and implementing events, which I'll get into. And I've just been meeting some of the business owners, and I've been at several committee meetings for Founding Day, marketing. So I feel familiar, and I'm looking forward to getting to know more people and more businesses. As far as the event schedule goes, we've been very busy this week. We've been doing a lot of cross promotion and promotion for other people's events. The Lunar New Year Festival, I think a lot of you went to. So we helped promote that, the March 4th 5K. Steve and I just attended the Arthritis Awareness Night at the Icebox Cryotherapy event this evening, which was really interesting. What they offer helps people with arthritis, inflammation, and other issues. And so you were able to actually try things out. We were dressed up, so we couldn't jump into the icebox, but it was really lovely. And they had representatives from the Arthritis Foundation to answer more specific questions. So it's nice to see these events happening. And then we have our meeting tonight, and we want to invite you all to attend the ribbon cutting for Tomino Cigars on Upper Milburn Ave. That's going to be this Saturday from 4 to 6. So I'm very happy to have them here, and hopefully you all can join us there. One of the events that I've been working on getting started is the Stroll, Shop, and Savor event that is scheduled.
You all have in your packets?
It is scheduled for April 2nd. It's a Saturday. And this event is really to help boost the business, increase the traffic in that area. And the area we're talking about is Upper Milburn Ave from Main Street to Whittingham. These people, were really affected by Hurricane Ida, and we want to let people know that they're recovered, they're back. And we also have new businesses opening up in that area as well. So there's going to be restaurant specials. We're asking the stores and shops that normally aren't open in the evening to stay open, providing any promotions. And we're gonna have live music and other things as well. So we just started kicking that off. I've been working with Jackie from the House Salon, and she's rounded up a few people to help really do the outreach to the businesses. And of course, I'm here to support her in that. So that's something that we're excited about. And then we've also been helping promote the Township Egg Hunt. And Founding Day, I've been participating just as another person in the group, helping with marketing, design, flyers, and everything. Really great committee for that, so looking forward to it. And I know Jackie will talk about that. And then, did you have something? Okay, so as you have already discussed the Main Street Pedestrian Wall programming, we're looking to have approximately 40 live performances during the season. So we're going to be working on securing those. We've already had people reaching out to us, and so I'm working on my outreach as well. We just had a meeting with Steve and I with Heather from the Chamber, talking about Mother's Day events and Father's Day events. And so Mother's Day, we're looking to have a girls' night out. And that's going to be a focus on health, wellness, and beauty, restaurants as well. And that's going to be a Friday evening event. So we've kind of had our brainstorm, and we're going to start pulling that all together. So we'll have a lot more information for you at the next meeting. And clothing retailers. So it's, yes. And then the other one is Father's Day, which we're looking to focus our efforts in Upper Milburn and including Short Hill Station. Looking to have a beer garden type of experience involving the different restaurants. And we think it'll be a lot of fun, something different to do. The other things that are coming up, I'm just starting to get the event plans going, but once I get through Mother's Day and Father's Day, I'm going to be working on in the next few weeks the Open Streets program. So whether that is getting a yoga studio to come out and do their have their class out at that pedestrian wall, or whether it's bringing entertainment in, we're going to have a variety of things to offer to the town. So I'll have more details for that next meeting as well. I think that's it for me. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I have a question about the girls' night out. Is that something that Explorer is going to be planning, or we're hiring an outside vendor to run that event?
We're planning this.
We're planning it. Okay.
And working with
The
the
local,
chamber.
so it's gonna, okay,
Yeah.
so it's gonna engage local businesses and.
Well, then, is that my segue into
That's your
Founding
segue.
Day? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Michael, for displaying our Founding Day.
Item 6 in your packet.
Okay,
So
our
there's-
Founding Day celebration, which
is an event close to my heart because the original founding day was canceled because of COVID. But I must say, the luxury of time has allowed us to really expand the programming capabilities as well. It will really be a full day. And let me just share with you a couple of items. So the other additional committees that are working with Explore Milburn as well as the Cultural Engagement Committee are the Historic Society, the Environmental Commission, the Green Team, the Boy Scouts, the Creative Collective, as well as the Milburn Food Pantry. So we're trying to touch as many residents in as many different arenas as possible. In the morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., there'll be a volunteer cleanup all around throughout the 5 districts. We will also have the environmental and green team will be running a violet seed planting activity in the garden at Whittingham and Mountain View Road. They will also be doing a activity, milkweed for monarchs, where children will be able to take a potted plant of milkweed seeds back to their homes to encourage growth. They'll plant it in their own local gardens to encourage monarch butterflies to visit. There is numerous arts activities taking place throughout the town that day. Steve has really spearheaded a whole mural and urban arts, if you will, or suburban. There'll be a mural at the former Charlie Brown's. There will be a mural in front of the Unwind Boutique. I was remiss in also mentioning that there'll be Victorian era music, and there'll be pop-ups of where you'll be able to take a selfie in a traditional costume. Historic Society will have people walking around providing tidbits and information about the history of Milburn as a mill town. There'll be some artistic tours going on. There will also be, if you remember back in December, we had a CETA art project where we had individuals paint canvases, resilience, strength, and gratitude. Those canvases are being superimposed on a banner, and that will also be in that what we're calling now the Springbone Goldberg Alley, and that will be displayed that day as well. We have 45 pieces of unique art, all of our local residents. That will be on display, and we encourage everyone that's coming to any and all of these activities to think of our neighbors that are less fortunate and bring along some non-perishable food item, can, box of pasta, whatever you have, and we'll be providing a list, jarred peanut butter, all plastic, please, non-perishable, so nothing refrigerated. So it's a full day. There's an opportunity for you to participate, volunteer. You can jump on the website on Explore. The day's event will be Saturday, April 30th. Oh, and there'll be food and refreshments also from our local restaurants. Some grab and go things.
She's gonna make you do that too.
I promise to help. And the rain date it will be the Sunday, May 1st. So please mark your calendars. It's going to be a great, great day, and it's going to be a great day to be a Milburn resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. It's
really,
exciting news.
there's a lot going to be going on.
And on the backs of your flyers is the schedule.
I just scanned it.
Amanda did that.
Yes.
Okay, now speaking of Amanda, back to you, Amanda, you've got business outreach survey.
Okay. So there's $10,000 set aside for the economic stimulus program. And we've been in touch with different consultants about potential webinars, commercials, other things to help support the businesses, provide them with training and tools. And what's come out of that is that we really want to reach out to the businesses themselves as stakeholders and find out what they feel they need and take that information with what, our professional backgrounds and then identify what things we'd like to provide to people. So we're going to be looking to develop a survey, get that out, I think this spring, and then take steps from there. The other thing that we'll be doing too with Explore, we already have a business success kit. We're going to be updating that. It's been around for a while. We've had a lot of changes and updates in town, so that's going to be happening soon as well. And we hope that, again, that'll provide additional tools for people to find success in their business.
Thanks, Amanda. Any questions? There's a lot of good information. Next, Mr. Grillo, Executive Director report.
Thank you, Chairman. Two quick updates on some groups that I've been working with. At our February meeting, we appointed an advisory committee per our bylaws. That committee met for the first time last week. We have 13 people on that board. We had, I believe, 10 or 11 attendees. For that meeting, we talked a lot about various policy issues, liquor licenses, parking, appearance of the town, placemaking and beautification, which obviously we're investing quite a bit in, and I'll get to that momentarily for requests for approval. But the overall tenor of the meeting was that everyone is just really excited about the energy in this community, and that whether it's the governing body, the SID, the other groups that Jackie mentioned that we work with, there's a really, really positive trajectory going on right now. And I think this group is going to be very important to help us guide policy. And so thrilled to work with them. We're meeting again April 5th, and we're hoping to meet with them on a monthly basis. The townwide signage committee is something that I've also led on. Our first meeting is March 23rd, so 2 weeks or so from now. Like most communities that have SIDs, there are directional signs throughout the area. We have just a few kind of old wooden signs that don't match any of the colors and branding and all the rest of it that we've implemented. So I am working with a couple of folks, the Historic Preservation Commission, Creative Collective, Paper Mill Playhouse, and Jesus Nunez, the artist. And the five of us are going to work on developing a signage plan for all 5 districts. That will be, it'll all be consistent with our branding and coloring that we have on our banner program. And then we're going to think about cultural assets, recreational opportunities, commercial corridors, like trying to drive foot traffic to an Essex Street. Or getting people to understand that they're in Short Hill Station and that there is a commercial district there, even though physically it is very small. And so those are all different strategies that we're going to work on from the historic pres, from an urban planning, from an artistic view. And then hopefully by Q3, we'll be able to come to you with a proposal for design and eventual construction of that signage. And so it's a very ambitious project. It's going to take some time, but I think it's necessary for this community, especially since the SID is so large, that we want to make sure that people understand there are 5 distinct districts, and they all offer different things. The business, any questions? The business opening report. So there is attachment number 7 in your packets. We have some good news. Over the last month, since our last meeting, we've had 2 business reopenings, Goldberg's Deli and Thai House. So we're very excited again that part of Milburn Avenue is continuing to see a resurgence. Investors Bank moved to a new location at 45 Essex Street, and they've been a great supporter of ours, and where we do have some applications in for funding with them. And I hope that in the next couple of weeks, we will receive a significant sponsorship from them. I had a very successful meeting with their regional reps about 3 weeks ago. New businesses. Green Door Studio opened above what is going to be Springbone. Green Door, you'll see later on, she is a muralist and she's offering a variety of different arts-based classes. So we're very excited to have her in town. Hirsch Design Group as a landscape architect. They just moved into 29 Essex Street, which is that small yellow standalone building near the train station that's been vacant for some time. By Design Kitchen and Bath is a high-end kitchen design firm. They are at 44 Main Street, so right above the standard. And then Tiger Schulman Martial Arts was here at our last meeting. They've officially opened. We encourage everybody to go down there and check out their beautiful new space. And Clark Service Professionals opened over at 830 Morris Turnpike. They're a locally based business featuring power washing, office sanitation, office maintenance, things like that. And then opening soon, Mochi Moly, Springbone, and the Braid Hive, which are all located in the area that Amanda mentioned earlier between Maine and Lackawanna that was impacted by the storm. So I think we're going to greatly see a significant decline in the vacancy there. And then finally for this report, there is a spreadsheet number 8 in your packet. These are all of the potential expenditures that we're looking at for really the next month or two. Some of them I'm going to ask for approval this evening, but just want to take you through them one by one. As you see, there's a budget line, a project name, status, the vendor, and then the cost. So in terms of live music as well as streetscaping, I've purchased a large Connect 4 board that's going to go in the Main Street Pedestrian Wall. We had one last year, but it went away with Hurricane Ida, so we need to replace that. And then I've also bought a life-size chessboard, which also glows in the dark, Milburn blue. And so we're very excited about that. So once there's a full closure, there'll be a giant chessboard in the pedestrian mall, which will be great. I think it'll be awesome for Instagram and social media. And then also I purchased some tall boy tables that we're going to put over on the Rahway River Bridge over on Millburn Avenue. I think that's Ryan and I were actually speaking this week about outdoor dining and what other communities are doing. And there's some really good stuff that we're looking at formally as the town, but also informal spaces, you know, just putting out some tables so that when you're enjoying a sandwich from the Milburn Deli and you want to go look at the river going by as it flows into the park, you can have a nice, you just want to see that river again. Everybody but Jumana can enjoy a view of the river. And so we're just trying to continue to promote informal public spaces and people engaging in their community and having a better pedestrian experience. So those will go out in a couple weeks when the weather warms up. The second section there is pending board approval. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but because I'm going to get into it momentarily, but these are really all projects that are related to beautifications as part of the Founding Day project. Then we've got some streetscape projects as well. Jackie mentioned the vinyl art installation at the Goldberg's Alley. We need some pricing quotes on that, but that'll probably come in sort of below the normal threshold. We'll just purchase that out of pocket. I'm working with the DPW on putting lighting in that alleyway as well, like we do on Main Street. This will go over the top. And then I was hoping to do a project over at Glenwood Drive on the Upper Milburn Avenue section. There's that fence that sort of blocks off that creek that looks pretty rough. There's some artistic things that we can do with that. And so I'm going to be reaching out to local artists to potentially create an art exhibition on that fencing and really make it look sharp. And then because Envoy provided us with that very generous grant, we are going to be able now to proceed with purchasing the bocce court that we're going to put out on the Main Street closure that we talked about at our last meeting, as well as the selfie box. That we think is going to be a great way to drive attention and social media attention. That'll be able to be moved around the town as needed. So hopefully, you know, every couple of weeks, the selfie box will pop up at different locations. And so we'll be able to purchase that from this additional funding, and it doesn't come out of our budget. It's at the very bottom, yeah. Those were two projects those were my wish lists. I was hoping on, hoping getting that $10,000. So now that we have it, you guys had provisionally approved me engaging with the vendor at our previous meeting. And so now that we have the money, I'm going to proceed with that.
Steve, I hate to ask this question. Can you tell me what a selfie box is? I know what a bocce court is. I don't know what a selfie box is.
My paisan, I figured you would. So a selfie box is, the best way to describe it is, you know what a shadow box is?
Frame?
Well, yeah, like a frame, but
Yeah.
almost, it has depth.
Right.
And so what the artist has designed is, I think it's 6 feet by 6 feet. So it's 6 feet high or 8 feet high, and then 6 feet wide. And it'll have a backdrop in it, and it'll be branded. So it'll have Explorer's logo. And it'll just have, we haven't decided what that backdrop's going to actually contain, but the idea is that it's going to be put around beauty parlors and stores like Jumana's or Vicky's, where, people are coming out after they've had their hair done or their nails done, or they purchased a beautiful.
I know that now. I can visualize.
And so you go in there, you take your selfie, you post it. We'll have our hashtag on the on the background so that people can just immediately hashtag us. A lot of restaurants have them. This is one of the first that I've heard of that's outdoors, but we're going to be building it that it's going to be, it'll be able to handle the weather. And then it is modular. So in the winter time, we'll be able to deconstruct it and store it.
Great.
That was my question also regarding the bocce court. So when they will also DPW will be is it DPW or?
So the vendor that we're contracting with does similar work like this for other SIDS. Everything that we're purchasing, the bocce court, the selfie box, and the stage for Main Street, which you're going to see a request for momentarily, all of those are modular. So they are meant to be broken down and stored.
Where's the bocce court going?
It's going to go in that Games on Main section that we have. So they'll have the Connect Four, the chessboard, and then the bocce court, sort of by the standard
Yeah.
going towards Essex Street.
So then would that have to be broken down every weekend?
It's only going to go out when we have the full
When we have the
closure.
full closure, okay.
Yes,
And then
That was-
the other, yeah, and then with the.
I thought of it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and then with the selfie box, is there potential for that backdrop to change, let's say seasonally or whatever?
Yes. So the vendor has given me a couple of different options. One is, remember we used to get your pictures taken at Sears, and you could just kind of
Pick the
Yeah,
pick
background.
the background and it was, so he can do that, or it can be done seasonally. So it's really up to us as we design it. I'd love it to change. I think, especially, when Christmas comes around and we do Santa again, it'd be great to have him sitting in the selfie box with the background.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's a really creative thing. And I think the bocce court and the selfie box are going to put us on the map in terms of social media, and make us, I think, elevate us in terms of regional awareness.
Steve, are any of these things back ordered by any, I mean, like with supply chain issues in terms of ordering, like what's the lead time if we're gonna design some of these backdrops and?
So these are all sitting in a warehouse somewhere being prepared for assembly. So what we're paying for is the vendor, the designer, is going to be working with the fabricator to essentially take raw materials and build them into exactly what we want.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
It's not assembled yet. It doesn't exist yet. The vendor we're working with is actually going to work with that fabricator to say, I need it to be 8 feet by this feet.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, it's all a la carte. So this is a one of a kind.
Very good.
Mr. Cooper was going to speak about the contract authorizations and the process that he recommends for review, and then I'll get into it.
Sure. So the Executive Director Grillo and myself just discussed, just in terms of procedure. So obviously the board has a number of options. He's going to run through 7 potential contracts, request the board's authorization to go forward with these. What we proposed, if the board's amenable, the first 6 are all related in that they are direct services and improvements to the SID districts. And he'll go through those and request a motion to approve those en masse, at all 6 of them. If the board chooses to vote for them individually, it's absolutely your prerogative. And then he'll discuss the 7th one, which is a little bit different than the preceding 6 because it's a professional services contract of services to the SID. So with that, it'll be up to the board as to what motion and how it chooses, but that was the process I had proposed for both administrative and other conveniences.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Okay, and with that, in your packets, there are copies of all of the contracts and or proposals that I'm bringing to you this evening. I'll go through them one by one.
Yeah, I
and
was going to say, why don't we walk through them?
Yes, and certainly ask questions as we go.
Ryan, you reviewed all of these? Is that, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. So Mr. Grillo is going to go through the contracts one by one. And rather than call for 6, walk the board through the contract, ask for a motion approving the contract, then go through
To
the
do
next
one vote
contract.
on, so I think.
One vote on all 6.
One vote on all. If you have, somebody has a conflict or some reason where they may want to vote differently on one than the other 5. I think once we get to the end of that, you might reveal that and maybe we'll pull one out if we need to, or separate them up. But the concept is to take the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in one group, one roll call vote. and then take that seventh one.
Mr.
Which
Grill's
is a
gonna
little
go
bit
through
different,
each,
yeah.
each one. He's gonna walk you through each one.
Yeah,
And
I
again,
wasn't thinking procedurally. I guess my question was from a legal perspective, reviewing these contracts for terms.
Mr. Cooper.
The actual terms of the contract.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay,
asking.
got it.
He did.
Oh, you
Yeah,
already
yeah,
did?
he did.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
for the,
Thank you.
by and large, these are purchase orders. But where there are contractual provisions, we've gone through them as well.
We came very prepared tonight.
Yeah, no, I want, yeah. Except for missing 3 pages out of the 1 through 4.
Fine print. You don't need to
So-
read
Oh,
that.
you're right.
I don't know where
Brian's
that
got
was.
it. Brian's got it.
Honestly, I don't know. So the first item, to prepare for spring, one of the things that I've heard from a lot of businesses on Upper Milburn Avenue is that it looks really dingy. It's got a lot of sidewalk space. It has a lot of built up mud along the curbs and things like that. So I went out and spoke to a number of power washing firms. I did get 2 bids that came in. 2 other firms came out, walked it, put some scopes together, but felt that they just could not do it technically. It's a very, very large sidewalk. I mean, it's not you're not doing a back patio. So you have to have specialized equipment, et cetera. So the company that came in with the low qualifying bid is attachment number 9, True Clean. They're based in East Hanover. I met with the proprietor of that company. We did a walkthrough, and he's given us a contract proposal for $3,500 to do all of the sidewalks from Short Hills Avenue up to Baltus Roll.
It's a pretty long run.
It's a very long run. And so he has a special truck that will allow him to hook up to the fire hydrants, so that if he needs additional water, so we'll be able to coordinate with FD and DPW as needed. But that was I think the sticking point for a lot of companies, was that they really need, you have to have a specialized vehicle to do this. He can do it in a day. It shouldn't be much longer than that. He said at worst case scenario, it's a day and a couple of extra hours. The other thing he's also going to be offering is that if a business on Upper Milburn wants the front of their store or their awning to be cleaned that day, they can pay out of pocket and they'll do it while they're there. So that's a nice addition as well. So we'll get that word out, should you decide.
And is there any, because it's such a big job, I guess you'll coordinate with the stores or whatever with closings or whatever limitations there might be.
Exactly. Yep. And then we'll also be doing portions of the curb line where there's a lot of buildup of mud and silt through the winter time, and that'll just get all washed away as well. So I think this is a good step to try to make that area look a little bit more pedestrian friendly, especially because the sidewalks, I mean, as Ashley knows better than anyone, those sidewalks are very, very large and they just don't look very good. They don't look very appealing, especially for some of the high quality businesses that we have there. And I think this $3,500 is a really, really good number based on the amount of work that's being done.
Did this come from a need from businesses or from, I don't know, other like residents or something?
So a lot of businesses have given me the story of, we want more planters, we want more trees, the sidewalk looks terrible. And so this was something that we could do fairly quickly and tie it into the Founding Day event, which has got a concept of cleaning the town. Also, it didn't come up with Jackie, as I only found out this morning. The Boy Scouts are going to be donating a crew to do litter cleanup in all 5 of our districts that day.
It's
So we're
good
expecting about
timing,
20
too.
volunteers.
Good timing coming out of the winter and the salt and all the other
Yes.
stuff.
So are there any questions specific to this?
What line item out of the budget would this come from?
So this is going to come out of streetscape projects, signage and banners. Everything I'm going to present today in these contracts will come out of that streetscape signage and banners line. Moving on to item number 10 in your packets, a $1,000 contract to Jesus Nunez for a mural at 313A Milburn Avenue. That is the side of Unwind Boutique that is on Lackawanna Place. Jesse, Jesse has pulled up the rendering that Jesus put together. As you know, Jesus has the gallery here in town. This is a statement piece. Certainly, this is going to be tied into the Gateway project that Jesse mentioned at Taylor Park. We want to really try to drive pedestrian traffic to Lackawanna, to Essex Street, and drive them up Milburn Avenue. A lot of folks have a tendency to stop at Main Street. And so I think with a statement piece like this on the side of a building, It's going to become Instagrammable. It's going to become a place that people want to go. And I think it's going to really try to drive pedestrian traffic to a part of Millburn Avenue that was damaged so significantly during Hurricane Ida, but also struggles for pedestrian traffic because where it's located. This is just a proposal rendering. Certainly, this can be tweaked. This can be changed. Jackie had an idea of sort of creatively including MSH for Milburn Short Hills in the design. So there's Jesus is certainly willing to work with us once we consider and approve the contract. We'll be able to meet with him and discuss the design.
He did this whole Milburn like love project. I mean, I don't know. Was that something, did you think about maybe incorporating that in his real design?
I thought he was going to do that actually, and he surprised me with that design, but he said he really wants to draw color to the
Yeah,
area.
I mean, I'm just
The
curious.
vibrant colors, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, between the outdoor art gallery that we're proposing at the alleyway, which we think is going to drive pedestrian traffic to Essex Street as well. These murals are going to really create us as an art destination. And public art is a great economic development driver. And so, you know, this is something that we can, especially for the prices that we're getting here, we can really put ourselves on the map as a place that people want to come to experience the pedestrian day and see this art and go to the stores. And so I think for us, it's a really good opportunity.
Did he approach you or you guys approached him? Just curious in the process.
I approached him. He had wanted to do something with us. We didn't have a budget or a location. But, you know, because of Founder's Day and the discussion we've been having, he was one of my first calls, and he was more than eager to do this.
What about, do we need, who owns the building? Don't we need?
Bruce Jeffrey owns the building. I've spoken to Bruce. He said as long as my tenant's okay with it, then I'm okay with it. I spoke to the tenant on Wine Boutique. He's more than happy. And so everyone is good to go. We have Jesus's insurance documents. And so obviously nothing's going to happen without final sign off by the property owner giving formal approval, but he has given me initial approval that he has absolutely no objection and really is excited about it.
Steve, is there anything as far as maintenance or touching up, thinking about what Vicky said about the one mural we talked about earlier?
Eventually it will have to be touched up.
Yeah,
That's just.
that'll just be a different contract. That's not, there's
Yeah.
no.
That's something we'll
provision in
probably
here
deal
for
with,
that.
you know, 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, listen, that's a good problem to have, but it's not part of this agreement.
Correct.
All right, and all the labor materials, that's all.
Everything is inclusive within the $1,000.
Can I just ask obviously a little bit off this topic, but I don't actually know whatever happened to the painting on, in the alley between Goldberg's and Apple Store. That was damaged, right?
Yes,
it's not-
it's being restored, and it will be also, it will be
Installed?
reinstalled. I couldn't think of the
Within the
word.
next
I know
couple of
that
weeks.
Yeah.
Bruce at that time didn't allow us to paint on the building, so. Whatever, anyway, I'll just assume that.
Well, it's also this, the good thing about this is that it's more of a, this is brick also, yeah,
Yeah, well, he said as long as.
yeah. Oh, so anyway, that's being reinstalled.
Okay, great.
And Dan Fenelon is the one that's
Yes.
working on the readings from Milburn. Yeah.
See, as we, as we do this on various buildings, dealing with different owners, shouldn't we get something in writing? They can change their mind. They can come back and demand that we remove it. And, or I feel like there's nothing, we're just like getting their verbal okay today. But like you said, it's subject to his final approval. What if he comes in and hates the design, but we've already approved something and seen this design? Like, I just feel like they should be more visible in this process.
So why don't I work with Mr. Cooper on codifying their approvals?
Yeah,
We
I would agree with that. I didn't, wasn't aware that this would be going on property that wasn't under the control of the township. And I would agree, but it's something simple to memorialize. I just did something similar but different for another client. So it's easy to document, and I think it would be wise to do so.
Agreed.
Thanks.
There is a contract that we had when we did that other mural with Mr. Jeffrey, so you can just consult Jesse can, it's, so we don't have to.
I'll reach out to Mr.
Yeah.
Moment and
Great.
The second contract is number 11 in your packets. This is for the alleyway at Goldberg's. There's an image Jesse has pulled up. This is the rendering that was done by, I mentioned Green Door Studio is a muralist who just moved into town. This is right next to her studio, so it's a great commercial for her, which is awesome since we're here to support small businesses. We worked with Marty Wayne, the old but new owner of Goldberg's, and he is more than ecstatic about this. And again, this is going to be now, if you're envisioning this alleyway, if your back is towards the mural that Dan Fenelon did a number of years ago that's being restored. And then if you go down the alleyway, Jackie mentioned the 45 paintings that CETA did that are going to be on that vinyl banner. We just measured that out. So there'll be that artwork as well. And then the next image that you're going to see that we're proposing for Charlie Brown's, when that eventually is taken down, we're going to create that into also a vinyl banner. And so it'll last forever in that art gallery. This
Just
is
a quick
not the
question
greatest
on-
rendering
Just a
because
quick question on Goldberg. Does Marty, is his name Marty?
Yes.
Does he own the building as well?
He does.
I thought I remembered that. Okay.
This is just like company's gonna eventually do your type banner, is that what this is?
Yeah, let me step back to the Goldbergs a second, Jesse, if you don't mind. So this contract that I'm requesting approval for, $750 for the entire project to Green Door. Marty was concerned about having anything affixed to the building because it's stucco, so he opted to go with the painting. And so again, we'll follow the same process that Mr. Weiner mentioned in getting his formal approval, but he has been super supportive of this as well.
Can I ask maybe a stupid question? Does the township not require us to get a permit or anything like that? Like if I just wanted to paint a mural of whatever on my building, I'm not required to get like permission? Because I know even with signs, like there's ordinances that we have to apply for and get permission and approval for. That's not necessary for any of this?
I would have to check with the zoning officer, but to my knowledge, we don't regulate murals. Signs are a little bit different. So if it's a
Sometimes,
sign
yeah.
that's affixed to the building, then there is language in the zoning code for it, but not for murals specifically.
Yeah, Andrew, to your point, sometimes those sign ordinances talk about murals, so.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
can't I just paint paper ribbon and wrap on my building and call it a mural? I'm just-
Right, because I mean, I've considered doing things on the side of the deli, but I've always been like, I don't want to go through this process of like having to ask the town for permission. So, I mean, I'm not for or against either way. I was just curious if we started doing it and then maybe somebody
Maybe
said,
you just
"Hey."
can't have a commercial.
So a good example is the
component to it.
standard.
Yeah.
They have the standard painted as a mural on the side of the building. And Mr. Molman knows better than I do, but that was evidently a violation of the zoning code because it was considered a billboard sign advertising the business. So
Typically, a big distinction is commercial speech. So that would be commercial speech, signs are commercial speech. This would be art, which would be arguably non-commercial speech. It can be absolutely regulated, but it is less typically done so. And then if it is, it's subject to more challenges. So we'll look into it.
the next item is attachment 12 in your packets. Jesse, if you could pull that up. So this.
Here's our law school question. Is a nonprofits painting commercial?
Yes.
Actually, but I do have kind of on that same point, sort of, but you're saying sponsor funds are gonna be provided for some of these or no?
Yes.
So do they get their name on the mural? Like, how is that?
So there's only one mural that's going to have a sponsorship. That's this one.
Yeah,
The property owner has offered to pay 50% of the cost,
okay.
but has not asked for any type
I'm
of
just
recognition.
curious, I mean,
Yeah.
And I should clarify, no, a mural that was funded by a nonprofit is not commercial speech. I think this might be
It's
a
the
separate
display
question because you have
itself, yeah.
text, right? You have text that is arguably marketing. I'll work with Mr. Molman, but I'm sure we can find a way.
So this is at the former Charlie Brown's, which is currently under construction. The owner approached us about doing a public art project. So we spoke to Green Door Studios as well about this. The reason that it looks kind of distorted is that it's a concave building as it goes around the corner. So it was tough for her to get the design to look quite right with the dimensions. The idea though is basically a bunch of squares that represent different themes of the town. Again, this is something that she actually wants to work quite closely with our board on, and try to figure out what those different themes may be. But the idea is generally this, connecting sports and recreation and culture and the environment with the downtown area. So like everything else, the artists are curious as to our input, and I think this one's going to be pretty interesting in that it's a very, very large space, as you're all familiar with. But I think it's going to be great to drive people to the corner of
And
Essex.
in a location where a lot of people will see it.
A lot of people will see it. It also may create a destination in a part of downtown that does not have great foot traffic, Essex Street. Hopefully, people will go that direction. So the note here is that this is planned for demolition. And that's why it's been asked to be painted. The idea that we have, though, is that once it is demolished during the summertime, we'll be able to take the image, right, of this, whatever it finally looks like, and then put it on a vinyl banner and put it in that outdoor art gallery by Goldberg's. So it will exist. It'll just exist in a different format.
Okay, can I just sidetracked now? So that is scheduled for demolition in the summer
Correct.
while we have the pedestrian wall?
Well, the exterior wall. Yeah, well, I can't say that it's slated for anything because I don't believe it's coming in front of the zoning board yet.
Okay, all right, this is hypothetical. It's not, there's no permits. No, but they need permits. They need demolition permit.
But that's.
The long story short is that this wall will not be this wall. Sometimes.
Comes time September.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you just describe to where, so if this is on Essex Street? This
So you're
will be looking across from
You're
Common
looking
Law?
right on the corner.
No, this is if you were standing in front of the clock tower looking across the street.
Okay,
So Common Lot is to the right of the image, Main Street is to the left of the image.
okay,
So,
yeah,
That's for Charlie Brown.
yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah.
so the idea is that the mural will wrap around that
You're
concave
looking right at the
exterior.
curve.
Right.
Yes,
You're looking at the curve.
Okay.
correct, because right now it's just a dead gray stucco space.
How long do you anticipate this being visible?
I think this will probably be visible 3 to 4 months, could be longer depending on construction schedule.
Yeah, that's $2,000 for, I know it's a big ugly space, but then how are we reusing it? It's not painted on the building, but it's on vinyl.
No, so this is painted on the building. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get a professional photographer to come and photograph it.
So we're painting it to then demo it?
Yeah.
His request was that because it looks so bad,
Yes.
could we put up public art? We tried to get volunteers. We couldn't guarantee that they would be reliable or
You're
the
talking about the
quality.
building owner.
The building owner.
I hate to be indelicate. Is he paying for it?
He is willing to pay 50%.
50%.
So our cost will be
1,000.
1,000.
And then what we'll do, to Stephen's question, is we will take the photographed image of this
Yes.
and then put it on a vinyl banner in the Goldberg's alley as sort of a memorial to the art that once existed.
It's a temporary art exhibit that's gonna become part of the permanent.
Correct,
Of the permanent collection.
correct. Okay, and then 2 more that are part of this voting block, shall we say. I did not know this, but when I spoke to Mr. Mullen, we figured out, so there is a contract to maintain the tree pits that are in the complete streets area of downtown, right? So the tree areas with flowers, and there are between 40 and 45 others in the commercial districts that we represent, mainly downtown and Upper Milburn Avenue, that do not receive maintenance. And so they look pretty bad, they look shabby. There's essentially, some of them are just holes in the ground that need to be maintained. So what I did was I went out and I solicited multiple vendors from landscaping firms. The low qualified bidder was Birch Hill Landscaping, which is located over in the Chatham Road, Short Hills Station section. What you're looking at here, attachment 13, I'll just summarize it because there's a lot here. He has proposed providing us with the cleanup of, again, between that 40 and 45 tree pits for $3,850, which is, by my experience, a bargain. And then also $3,900 for the installation of 3 large planters. Those planters are going to be at Short Hills Nail Plaza, Footnotes, and Orange Theory. Those are areas that I think used to have trees, and then the tree must have been removed, and it's just a patch now, and it just doesn't look very nice. And so there are large flower pots throughout town. This would be a good place to add them. This proposal for 3,900 includes the large planter itself, as well as changing the flowers out in the spring, the summer, and the fall. So that's 3,900 plus the 3,850 gives us a total of 7,750. 3,000 of which will be covered by the sponsorship we received by the Ganella Real Estate Team. So out of pocket for us is just the remaining 4,750, which to improve over 40 tree pits throughout the town in multiple districts and get planters that we'll have going forward, I think is a very good deal.
So are there trees in these? Like, why would we put flowers in pots? Why wouldn't we put like trees, which require less long-term maintenance, and then they can grow and become shade and stuff?
Trees are very expensive.
Well, longer term investment, and then on these tree pits, clean them up and mulch them. What's planted in these things now? Nothing?
Nothing.
So we're just gonna have areas of mulched, unplanted.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's trees in them,
Oh,
but
so-
there's
so-
nothing, so they're unmaintained, so there's just like, it's dirt, it's concrete, it's litter, so you have to go
Oh,
and
so
clean it.
bricks are.
The 40 to
bricks-
45 have trees in them
Yes,
that are not maintained. I-
Right,
Correct.
I
and the
see.
pit is concave, it's really dangerous, they're
Yeah.
aesthetically not pleasing.
No.
and I think to be a town that aspires to be affluent and modern and, beautiful, this is a really simple fix that we probably should have done a long time ago. Our streetscape is not pretty, especially outside. Now, remember, the contract is only to maintain the complete streets area, but every other part of town has no maintenance
Yeah, I know.
whatsoever.
I'm surprised the
I'm
town doesn't
surprised,
do these.
Yeah, because I
Right.
do remember that Richard had an initiative with town, with TC for,
We were gonna
Those
spill.
illuminated.
yeah,
trees,
did that ever happen or?
No,
Okay.
that did not happen.
Okay, and then my other question is about the planters, the 3 planters that you mentioned. We have, is it the Township Beautification League that does those planters? Are they gonna be similar to match, or, I mean, if
Yes.
it's, I don't think we want something that clashes with.
No, they're gonna
what's already
match.
there. Okay.
So Birch Hill, because they are a local vendor, has a lot
Yeah.
of experience with town.
Okay.
They've presented to me, I don't think I have the image here, but they look sort of like a, kind of mid-orange clay type
Mhm.
look that will be similar to what the
What the
TBL
one
is put.
does, okay.
And will we have that branded for us? Like
know it.
Explore Milburn?
Yeah, well, because like TBL, I think has their little plaques
Yeah.
on them, I believe.
I'm almost insulted that you would ask me that.
Well, I would have assumed you'd like promote that aspect of this project, so.
I thought it was
Insulted.
known that I never miss an opportunity.
So my question is, we have a line item for their, for the beautification of those. This is for a 1 year? They're
This
gonna-
is 1 year.
So then are we gonna have some kind of, we're gonna have to look at this annually, as a renewal, if you will, or line item renewal?
Yeah, but the bulk of that expense is the installation of the
right.
pot.
Right,
And so, the other thing too is, I just found out like DPW has 3 spare pots that were just in a garage. Well, you and I talked
Yeah.
about this. We're gonna put them over in that alleyway.
Right.
To just, kind of beautify it. The pots are free. Well, we can get Birch Hill to come out and put some plants in and make it look nice. I think anytime we have the opportunity to put more plants out on the street, especially in a place like Upper Milburn Avenue, we really need to do it. So I think that's just gonna have to be an ongoing commitment from this organization to work with TBL when we have the opportunity. They do not have the funds that we do. And so, we should be planting them. We should be trying to make this town look better for pedestrians. So, yeah.
What about like perennials in there? Like what's rather than just flowers, spring, summer, fall, what if designed strategically so that there's less maintenance over time? I don't know, because
I don't know, yeah.
well, perennials mixed with seasonal.
that's what I mean.
yes,
Yeah, to try to mitigate some of the,
So
because I
that
know,
when with the transition, that it doesn't look like an empty, yeah.
exactly.
I
We can
got
talk
what you're
to,
saying.
we can talk to Birch Hill.
Yeah.
Some things that'll stay green all year round,
That's right.
interspersed with some
Because they can look really
floral, yes,
dead
yeah,
for a while.
yes.
Yeah. Understood. And then the final item for this is, Jesse, do you have, I don't think I gave this to. Item 14 is the bandstand that I mentioned. So I am requesting $4,300. I think I actually inverted that. I meant to say 3,400. So the spreadsheet is wrong. I apologize. I switched the numbers. It's $3,400 for the bandstand. And so this is going to be 12 feet wide and 8 feet deep. This will be put on Main Street on the pedestrian mall end closest to Milburn Avenue where we have the bands today. This is a riser. It'll have steps that'll go up for the bands. And also it's got sort of these wings on the end. So if a band needs more space, they can just pop out the wings and it'll give them an extra 4 feet. As you see from the image on the first one, it breaks down into these modular slabs, and then it comes in a rolling case like a guitar amp. And so at the end of the season, when we want to remove this, all we have to do is just put it in the box and then we can store it here in town hall. We don't have to worry about, getting a place to store it, storage unit or something. So this will be designed, like Stephen asked the question earlier, who's doing this? The group called Think Outside the Cube, who does this for other SIDS, is going to be putting this together for us, working with the fabricator, and then we'll be delivering the product.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many pounds this will? Because I see those legs, and I'm just wondering.
Those legs are not a great example, I think, in the image, but no, this was designed with the intent of having a band on it. So that's the plan. I can't tell you exactly how many pounds, but it is designed as a stage.
Is this something that's been
Yes,
designed in the
sorry,
past
thank
by these guys?
Yes.
It's like, it's not, and then who's responsible for breaking down, setup and all of that?
So the vendor, Think Outside the Cube, will come and assist DPW when it needs to be set up. And then we'll come back at the end of the season and help
Oh,
them
that
break it down.
stays up permanently.
This stays up for as long as we have the permanent closure. So if that's from the end of June through Labor Day, this will not be touched. It
see.
goes up once, it comes down once.
I got you.
Just to be clear, the agenda, you said 3,400. The agenda says 4,500.
Yeah.
The spreadsheet says 4,300.
I'm all screwed up.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the
We have to,
same page.
we'll have to, yeah.
And
I'm gonna give you
it
an
notes
exact number.
2,500 from sponsor funds.
Just give me one moment. All this has to be posted 2 days in advance. I don't take 2 days off. So let me just,
Okay.
But while
just
he's
wanna
looking
make
for
sure we're
that, but
clear.
what about the township stage? Is that ever an option for us to use, that one that DPW
Yeah, that's
has?
gigantic.
I know, I'm just,
Yes.
that's the only thing we have at our, and we never use that as from Explorer.
No, we don't use that. That's really for
For like those
large
really big
scale
events,
events
yeah.
in Taylor Park or
Yeah,
anywhere.
or
for
any-
that, right.
Okay, because they did use it one time when they had that Rocktoberfest and the Main Street, when they had bands playing.
Yeah,
in front
for
of Chinatown, for
Rocktoberfest, yeah.
Okay.
I had it on my Excel the right way. I should have trusted myself. 4,300.
So at
4,000.
Of
so it
which-
is correct on this.
Of which 2,500 will be covered by
It is
sponsor
correct on
funds.
this one then, on
Yes.
8. Okay.
He was actually going back and forth with the fabricator yesterday after this agenda was posted on shipping. So this includes shipping.
So I still, couple questions, leaving this out all summer. What about like kids playing on it? It feels like it's an attractive nuisance in a way, because it could be dangerous to leave it out there. People are gonna play around on it, jump on there, pretend they're performing. There's no gates around it, so somebody could get on and fall off. I just sort of
I
feel like.
can't deny that truth.
Yeah, and the
Um,
sign says keep off. Keep off the
Yeah,
grass.
but, yeah. The other question is, it like the sturdy to last all summer where we can really reuse it every year.
Mhm.
I'd be curious, like how thick is the wood, and this looks like it's actually like material that's covering it that I know would not last.
Maybe that's like just you put on for.
The skirting.
for
The skirting,
Is that
yeah.
just on the
Yeah,
day of the
I just,
event, or-
it
yeah.
feels, I don't know. I love the idea and I think this is great, but it feels a little flimsy to leave it out for months outside in that super crowded space.
Mhm.
Like, how are we gonna, like, we put a gate around it to keep people off? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be some practical challenges with just, but I love the idea, so I'm supportive, but I feel like some of the
So-
details like that.
We have time, right? We're in March. We would not need to use this until the end of June, beginning of July. If you'd prefer, we could have at our next meeting, the vendor speak about it, give his thoughts on how it's constructed. I certainly can't represent
No,
his expertise on it. We have the time. If you want to wait on it, we could certainly do that.
Well, my thought would be two things. Maybe he's done this for another community, speak to somebody else that is using this. And is there any kind of guarantee included in the construction or replacement parts or however that would work? And what's the weight capacity? Because if they're gonna put, large amplifiers or, and the other thing is, how do they access electric? Is there,
Well, electric comes off of a light pole.
okay,
So
So
that's
that
how
would
all
be-
so electric just runs, you access the light pole, run an extension cord. So this doesn't require it.
what I would suggest maybe we do is we talk to the band, if our own bands, talk to Red Light District or Stand So, or maybe if they've ever worked on one of these platforms.
But it reminds me though too, that, I know we tried to have live music move around from different locations. Now we're kind of saying it's gonna be at this spot only. I know you
In
said
terms of
on
the
I know the
bands,
Sunday, yeah. but
Yeah,
you-
well, the main issue we encountered was that when we did move it around
Yeah.
to different locations, the logistics just did not suit it. So,
Okay.
that was part of the gateway discussion, that, we had bands play the Entrance to Taylor Park at Lackawanna.
Yeah,
They couldn't get good electric,
No.
or, they had no seating, and it was all a
But
problem.
we can still do boxcar certainly, right?
Well,
But that's
Boxcar doesn't really need a stage.
No, but I'm saying we could still have
We could still do
music,
Boxcar.
we could still have music performances at those locations.
yeah.
This is more for, those larger setup bands, that require, you got 5, 6 members, you have a drum set, there's only so many places that can accommodate that kind of use.
Is
Plus
there
you
a
need the
step-
seating, that's the other thing.
Is there a step up or do they
You
just?
said there's
it's-
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a stair, sorry.
Yeah, it sort of folds out.
And
Oh,
then,
okay.
and then, is this something that maybe some of the bands have asked for, or just curious, like, what was it like?
Yeah, some have
as-
asked
as-
for something a little bit more
Robust.
professional than just throwing a carpet down on the
Yeah.
asphalt.
Yeah,
The other thing too, and there's a drawing on the next page of a backdrop, basic step and repeat,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you know
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, it looks kind of when you've got these bands and there's a police barricade right behind them.
Mhm.
The images don't look great. It's just not as professional as I think we can do. We have a beautiful pedestrian mall in an incredible downtown. We have really good bands. We've got hundreds of people that see them. We can do better than, now last year was an exception, right? We had just sort of started this process, but we're a year smarter. We've got money. We should do something to make it look better. And so that's why I came to this concept, but certainly happy to have the vendor come in and present and
Or
answer
even-
these open
even
questions.
Maybe, offline, like, maybe couldn't he just, I don't know, present in a, can we do that? No,
Zoom,
it has to be a Zoom, but can
No,
we?
he could-
Yeah,
he
we
could
could
come in
Zoom,
and
a
Zoom and
like
he
instead
just-
of.
Yeah.
Before the
Oh,
next
the vendor,
meeting, say,
yeah.
Yeah,
if you want
the
the
vendor,
vendor, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, because we just bought a tent and I know like these legs, if it's that style, there's like 3 levels of quality, no matter what you do. And it's aluminum
Well,
or steel
absolutely,
and,
this
Yeah.
is different,
and,
yeah. but yeah.
and then I love this backdrop look as well. But if we're gonna leave it up all summer and it's something sitting on top of a stage, again, are kids gonna wanna climb on it?
It would be behind.
So
No,
that's
it
much
says it's
easier to
sitting on
remove.
top
Yeah,
of
that
the
comes-
stage.
Sun damage,
Oh.
rain damage, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that can be taken down really easily,
I think
a step
that-
and repeat.
Yeah, I
literally
think
just
that's
fold it
just
up and take it
temporary
out.
for the show, I think.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, we
'Cause-
put it out on a Friday and then come back and get it. DPW could take it with them when they
Okay.
remove the barricades.
Okay,
Yeah, that one's the simplest one.
okay.
But wait, this stage with this
The stage stays. though.
The stage
The
stays.
stage, oh, you're saying that the
The
back
backdrop.
wall
Back
could be
wall, yeah.
removed for
Yeah.
barricades, but this stage would remain somewhere from June 24th through Labor Day.
Well, I shouldn't say that with the barricades because they're not really, what we could do is simply go out and get it. So on a Monday morning, right, because the street's closed, it's not
Right.
reopening. I go out and get it, bring it back to town hall, store it for the week. And then Friday, go out and put it back out.
Right,
The
The
backdrop, yeah.
backdrop.
the backdrop.
Yeah, if we're worried about it falling down in the wind
Well, I
or,
mean, I think we need sandbags. or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be screwed
It's gotta
in
be
or something
yeah.
attached.
you
'cause
put
it's-
sandbags on
But
those
the
legs.
stage for the weekend closures.
Would
from-
not exist. This
would
this
not
is
exist.
only
This
going
is
to,
Right, this is
Yeah.
only when we're,
when we have the full closure
Becomes
for
like
Closure.
semi-permanent.
10, 11 weeks,
Right.
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So we can certainly pull this from the vote tonight if we want more information. And then that is it. So I guess according to Mr. Cooper, you guys should consider taking action on those 6 items. And then the 7th, which is the audit contract, we'll talk about separately.
Okay, so we're, oh, go ahead, Brian, you want to?
I was just to clarify, so I think, given that the stage, if I heard correctly, was going to be tabled for a future meeting, I think your options are either to make a motion to approve the first 5 contracts, or a motion to approve the first one and then go through them in serial. So,
Yeah, I think we can bundle them. No?
Yeah,
Anybody have a
I'm still,
problem?
I'm still not as sold on this one, sorry.
On which, oh, okay.
I don't know.
On the
That's-
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I'm not sold on this, the concept of the art, the demoing of the art, I don't know, I would want to think about this one a little bit.
Okay.
That's me personally.
Pull it up,
I know
that's fine.
she's challenged with her rendering and maybe graphic design is not her strong suit, but I don't know. This one is,
Okay, so let's just be clear. That one would be attachment number 12. Is that?
12.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
So 12 and 14. will be-
When would she start this? When would this plan be started?
That is, from a time perspective, probably the least time sensitive, because the Goldbergs one, we want ready for founding day,
Right.
which is
Right.
April 30th. We also want Unwind for April 30th.
yeah.
Right.
So if this is something that you want to see additional drawings on, or you've got concerns over being demolished,
Yeah.
valid concern, certainly. We can table this tonight and deal with it at our April meeting. And, it may get to a point then where we also feel like, it's only gonna be up for 2 months, maybe it's not worth spending the money.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been a big ugly building there for years. So
Yeah.
like, why now do we need for
That's
2
kinda how I-
months or
that's
3
kinda
months to
how I
make it
feel
look
too.
nice? And then you blow
It
it, and then you
seems
blow it
to,
up.
yeah, it seems like money could be spent elsewhere for something like that. I don't know. That's my thought. The other ones I'm excited about, so.
all right, so why don't we entertain a motion on, I'll just be clear. So attachment 9 is to True Clean for power washing. Attachment 10 is to Jesus Nunez for the mural at 313A Milburn. Attachment 11 is $750 to Green Door for 325 Milburn Avenue, skipping 12. Also included is attachment 13, which is to Birch Hill Landscape for tree pits and planters. The other 2, at attachment 12 and 14 will be excluded from this vote. All right, so can we have a motion for those 1, 2, 3, 4 items? Jimana moves it. Second?
Second.
I know.
Second.
Second from Stephen. Okay,
Need a roll call, right?
we can do a roll call. Yep,
You just skip,
Seconded though, just-
I did.
Stephen did.
you just skip Jackie in the roll call,
I skip her and she doesn't vote.
and Jesse.
Right. Okay, Ashley Schultz,
Yes.
Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Stephen Weiner,
Yes.
Jemana Culligan, yes. Michael Parlavecchia.
Yes.
And that's it.
Okay. Thank you all.
So motion passes. right?
Yes, motion approved. Now
So
we're on to the,
The final item, attachment 15, is a proposal from the Nisavacia Group, which is the town's auditor and accounting firm. We inherited that relationship when we were established. And so the proposal you have in front of you today is to complete the audit from a calendar year perspective, your operational period of 2020, as well as all of 2021. So this is not only the audit for the organization, this is also inclusive of the review, to be clear, not an audit, because it's such a small amount of money, but the review of the Hurricane Ida Fund, which is required by the resolution that was passed by the township when they provided us with $220,000. Additionally, this will include the submission of all relevant tax documents. So the firm provided us with the attached document. Certainly, if you choose to proceed this evening, Mr. Cooper will review and advise me in terms of execution. But what I'm asking you for this evening is approval of this contract not to exceed $9,375 for the services that I mentioned. If you go to page 5, they do talk about the audit fee of $7,500 with an additional $1,500 to $1,875 in costs. And so that is how sort of arrived at a number of $9,375 not to exceed.
And is this the same firm that helped with the IRS application for our nonprofit?
That is correct.
Yeah, so.
And this is in our budgets already?
Yeah, so the way
It's high.
the way we've structured it is I kept money in the Hurricane Ida fund to pay for a portion of this, as well as we do have money in our budget just from annual audit expenses. So in terms of budget allocations, it's fine. I think to Mr. Weiner's point, this is a very expensive audit. As
For
I
a budget
mentioned,
of our size. Yeah.
absolutely. Again, we inherited this firm. I think we're certainly going to have discussions in our governance committee about, is this a fee that we feel is appropriate for an organization our size? I don't think that's something to be discussed or determined today. But my recommendation, based on our need to actually file an audit and be in compliance, is to approve this contract. I have enough money set aside, kind of knowing that this would be a large expense. And so I'm not concerned about any budgetary issues, but my recommendation is to authorize me to execute this contract upon Mr. Cooper's review.
Yeah, and Steve, it's March 10th, so I think that's one consideration. And the comment has nothing to do with I don't think anybody's comments has anything to do with the quality of the work. It's just the sheer cost of it. And that's something we could look into as the year goes on, just to make sure it's competitive or find
Well,
something
I
competitive.
wonder, do we even have a say in who we use? If the
We
town,
do,
we
yeah,
do,
we do.
as our own separate organization
We do.
outside of what the TC,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and so when the organization was established, we had a bunch of essentially shared services with the
Right.
town,
Mhm.
and this was one of them.
Okay.
And so this organization or this firm has been handling all of our tax issues, like all the 1099s that needed to be sent out to vendors. I provided them with the information from W-9s. They then generated the forms and sent them out. So they've been very good to work with. But I think in speaking to other folks that I know from this world and similar folks with budgets that are like ours, this is very high for a budget our size. And so I think we proceed with it for now, and just in the spirit of transparency and trying to save money, we certainly could put this out to bid next year.
Okay.
I just have one other, will they include those other services for our, the 1099 forms, and would they throw that in or include that in this proposal if we ask them?
For this year end, you feel like?
Yeah.
No, this
2022?
is
No,
not.
this is only
just
for, this
audit.
is
This
an
is just
audit,
the audit.
just the audit.
It's
Okay.
not,
Yeah, this is not for
And-
our
And
ongoing.
it's specific for the IDA, is an audit of all our
It is
our
the
budget
audit of
or
our.
just the IDA fund?
No, so it's both. So
Oh.
so the organization did not file an audit at the end of or in the beginning of 2021 because your operating period was so short. And I think the town had actually provided all the money in 2020. So
Yes.
there was nothing to report.
Right.
So, because I did confirm that with these
Okay.
folks. So what they're gonna do is the audit will cover the last 4 months of 2020, and just any transactions that may have
Right.
occurred. And then everything from 2021.
Yeah, I don't see those dates in there. They're just talking about the year 2021 though, so I'd be careful with
So-
specifying those last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I have specified that
It's not,
in conversation, we'd certainly codify it.
Yeah, I think we should.
it's not in
Um,
here.
yeah.
Sorry, Brian.
So then
I was only going to point out, to your point, I agree with that observation. I was going to observe, it does include also filing your federal tax return, which is a Form 990 for a nonprofit.
Oh, for this,
Yes.
for last year's.
For 2021, that's on page 3, Form 990 is the federal income tax form for nonprofits,
Okay,
so that don't pay income tax.
okay.
Tax return preparation for 1,500 and 1,875.
Mhm.
Right. And the audit fee is 7,500.
Yes.
And then
I-
inclusive of this, to Ms. Culligan's point, would be the IDA fund review.
Okay.
I had talked to them about full audit. They said, no, full audit is not merited. There's not enough money, not enough transactions.
I was gonna say, it didn't.
But didn't what was the word used when the town approved it? I thought they used the word audit.
They used the word audit. The auditor said it doesn't make sense for us to do an audit. And so I think we're on,
But they'll give us a report.
they will give us a report. The audit, may I, so the reason that they said they did not suggest an audit for the IDA funds was that typically an audit comes with a review and recommendations of financial practices, right? They said there's no point in doing that for the IDA fund because the money came in, the money went out, there's no money left, and the program is defunct.
Do we need anything from the township committee to say it's okay to not do a full audit, even though it seems silly? I in hindsight, I agree, it would be overkill, but it says what it says, right?
Yeah, so there's, I think these are good questions, and they should be addressed with the auditors. I'm confident that they can be. So for instance, for one, we could request a representation that regardless of the moniker given to the report, it's their representation that they'll do what's necessary to satisfy that condition in the township's agreement with the SID, therefore satisfying your obligation if this report does. But I do agree, based on just the information we've discussed here, which is all I have privy to, that it does make sense that an audit's not necessary, because it does typically include recommendations on ongoing financial management practices, which wouldn't be inapplicable to a fund that was shut down. And more, you see in this agreement, if you look at the second paragraph, consistent with what I think you most would think of with the work product coming out of an audit is a reasonable assurance that the statements provided as to the receipt and dispensation of those funds are accurate, right? So that the audit, whether it's the legally significant term of art audit or just a colloquial audit, is going to tell you, well, listen, this is where I said I sent the money, and they're going to say, we reviewed it, and yes, we're confident that's where the money went. And therefore, there's not fraud or error that's behind these numbers.
So yeah, this is their boilerplate letter, right? So it doesn't include the flood, all that extra work should just be specified in there.
Do we have is there a time in which the township committee is requiring us to provide this sort of audit report on the IDA funds, or did they say by any particular date?
I think the resolution said within 6 months of the disbursement of the 220,000. But obviously, we weren't going to go out and get an independent financial review and then do our own audit. It makes sense to do it all together.
No,
So
it does, but I'm just curious if.
So do we need a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve.
The negotiation, because this has to be tweaked.
I
right?
think
So-
it needs to, we need to, yeah.
agreed.
Yeah, I would recommend a motion approving a contract amount,
Not to
subject,
exceed.
Yeah.
subject to the
authorize that
executive
amount.
director and council reaching acceptable terms.
So,
Okay.
right, we'll need a motion to authorize and approve an amount not to exceed $9,375 for the annual audit and IDA fund review and tax document submission to Signage.
Motion.
In a second,
Second.
by Stephen Weiner, second by
Okay,
Andrew.
Morgan.
Okay. then a roll call.
Ashley Schultz,
Yes.
Andrew Morgan,
Yes.
Stephen Weiner,
Yes.
Jemima Culligan, yes. Michael Parlavecchio.
Yes.
And I think that's everybody.
That's it, so moved.
That's
And that brings us to board comments, volunteer assignments. And then
I want to mention, the volunteer assignments is new. This is something that came out of our board training back in January. Our consultant suggested that at the end of every meeting, if someone feels so interested in participating specifically in a project, that you should have the opportunity to do so. So don't all speak up at once, but part of our board comments, if you'd like to join any of these efforts.
I would love to have you all on Founding Day in some capacity.
I don't think that's what he said. I think he
No,
was-
I
he
don't.
said-
No, that's funny because she's
Wasn't
actually,
supposed to be pressurized.
she's actually recruited half the town as it is. So I don't know why she needs anybody else.
So, but we can talk offline, so mark your calendars.
Do we know the actual date?
April 30th.
Oh, that's so, no,
March
no.
15th.
Oh, of the town.
March 15th was
Okay.
the town.
I was
But
just curious.
yes. Which coincided with
Yeah.
the launch of COVID.
Yes.
Yes, yes, right.
Yeah, so,
So you mean if the board wants to participate specifically in any of the items that we discussed? I think Ashley
There was
has
so much I
raised his
forgot
hand.
already.
to volunteer.
There's something I wanted to do and I forgot already. I was good. I meant to say, I would talk to you about it after the meeting. I forgot. It'll come to me tomorrow. I'll call you.
one thing I think we should think about is maybe having a rotation of board members introduce the bands over the summer.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
I think that would be something
Great.
that
Good idea.
would be, just everybody take, an evening, a weekend.
God knows,
But
I
I-
got enough.
Yeah, that, I just think it would be great.
So people know who the board
So
members
people
are
know
also.
that this is the Explore initiative funded by and really to engage our residents, our businesses, drive participation. I think it would be all,
Should we get some new hats or shirts like for?
I think
I mean,
swag,
we
some
have this-
swag.
It's on my to-do list.
Okay, no,
And
we
I'm
have,
supposed
we
to
have
send
the
you that thing,
buttons.
but that was something else, but. Yeah.
We have the
It's
buttons.
like going to the Republican National
Yeah.
Convention.
Yeah.
Too many to-dos things, they need to be done.
But I think that would be great. I think
It's a
that
good
would
idea.
really be great.
I
And
told her 2 days ago, and she has not finished it yet.
Mhm. And what about the, we had a few extra t-shirts, no, from Explore?
They're all gone.
Oh, they're all
We
gone.
gave them out, I think, at the seed event.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. I don't have one, I'm just
Neither
curious.
do I.
Yeah,
I'll be in
yeah,
touch with your shirt sizes.
yeah.
yeah, but I think we, founded in, I mean, the second year or third year, each year we'll get a new t-shirt or a new swag or a new
Yeah.
hat or maybe hats, because that way.
Yeah, and I was thinking things you could wear all summer, introducing bands and that we're trying to meet the board members.
Maybe just
Right.
like a polo
Even
shirt
after.
logo.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
Yeah,
something
I
like,
think that looks
Mhm.
nice.
because I was really impressed with the turnout of the Lunar New Year event.
yes.
I walked down packed, and
Right.
that's where we met
Yeah.
and, but the turnout was terrific.
Yeah.
And I even talked to, I don't know, probably a police officer, I said, why don't we just spread this out more? Because it was
Very
very
concentrated.
concentrated.
Yes.
But I was really happy to see the turnout. That was amazing.
I hope they come back to shop.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's great.
Okay, so motion to adjourn, right?
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Oh, and just as a
Oh.
note,
What happened?
Before we do, our next meeting is a Wednesday, not a
Yes.
Thursday.
So,
So
Oh.
April 13th, put it in your
Notice.
calendar.
next
'Cause the next
meeting,
day is my
April 13th,
birthday.
6:30.
Ah,
I
And
took
the
off for
next
my
day,
birthday
and the
last
next
year.
day is Good Friday, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Great.
and
Yeah, I'm
first
going
night of
away.
Passover.
That's right there on the same
Yeah.
day.
Busy week.
And
and
Easter
it's
Sunday.
Mr.
It's a
Cooper's
lot of,
birthday that weekend.
Oh, so I think we should be having cake
We
and
shall
ice
have,
cream.
definitely should be
That's Friday, we
bringing
gotta
some
stay
cake.
at it.
Do we know? Did
But
we?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Good night, everyone.
Night.